The phenomenon of banned episodes forms a shadow history of animation, an alternate timeline where certain stories are withheld, altered, or erased due to their clash with cultural norms, political sensitivities, or ethical boundaries. Each incident reveals something about the society that banned it, and about the elasticity of animation as a medium that constantly negotiates between creativity and regulation. Voltus 5, a robot, a revolution, and a government's fear of young minds. Few banned cartoons carry as much cultural weight in Southeast Asia, especially the Philippines. Unlike most banned anime episodes, which are removed for content-related controversies, Voltus 5 became a symbol of political resistance, youthful imagination, and the tension between authoritarian power and media influence. Its banning was not about violence, nor supernatural imagery, nor moral panic. It was about control. Voltus 5, produced by Toei Animation in 1977, is a super robot anime centered on a team of 5 heroes piloting powerful vehicles that combine into the iconic robot Voltus 5. On the surface, it was a classic mecha action series, bright, dramatic, heavy on spectacle. But beneath the robot battles lay surprising thematic depth: rebellion against tyrannical leaders, the pain of separation from loved ones, family secrets shaped by war, and the emotional cost of fighting for freedom. When it reached the Philippines in the late 1970s, during Ferdinand Marcos' martial law regime, the anime exploded in popularity among children and teens. Its themes, resistance to oppression, fighting an iron-fisted alien empire, overthrowing authoritarian control, resonated far more deeply than expected. In 1979, just as the story approached its climactic final episodes, the Marcos government abruptly banned the show. The official justification, broadcast over television, claimed it was too violent for children. This explanation, however, quickly collapsed under public scrutiny. Many other shows airing at the time were equally or more violent, yet they remained untouched. The timing was too precise, the censorship too targeted. The real reason was widely understood. The story of Voltus 5 mirrored the political struggle unfolding in the real world. People were cheering for rebellion, resistance, unity, and the overthrow of a cruel ruling power, messages Marcos found dangerous. The government feared that the anime's revolutionary themes might inspire the youth to question authority, fueling dissent during an already volatile political climate. In a regime that tightly controlled information, even a robot anime could be seen as subversive. Thus, the ban was ideological, not moral. The ban was swift and comprehensive. The final episodes were never aired on Philippine television. Broadcast stations were ordered to remove the show from programming. Other mecha anime with themes of rebellion as demos, UFO Robo Grendizer, were similarly targeted. Fans who had waited week after week never saw the highly anticipated finale. This created a cultural scar. An entire generation left hanging, their beloved series abruptly severed. For many Filipinos, the Voltus 5 ban became a symbol of how deeply the dictatorship intruded into everyday life, even into childhood entertainment. After the fall of the Marcos regime in 1986, the anime was eventually broadcast in full. For many Filipinos, seeing the final battle at last felt like reclaiming something stolen, both a nostalgic memory and a political wound. Today, Voltus 5 stands not merely as a robot show, but as a historical emblem. The power of media to inspire the youth, the fear authoritarian governments have a free imagination, the resilience of cultural memory, how even a fictional rebellion can echo into real-world history. In 2023, the Philippines even produced Voltus 5 Legacy, a live-action adaptation, an act that transformed a once banned show into a national cultural treasure. Why this ban still matters, you ask? The banning of Voltus 5 demonstrates a profound truth that censorship often reveals more about the censors than the content. What Marcos feared was not violence. It was hope, unity, and the idea that oppressive rulers could be challenged. In this way, Voltus 5 remains one of the most politically significant censorship stories in animation history. It is proof that even giant robots can shake governments, not because of their weapons, but because of the ideas they represent. Cowboy Bebop, broadcast anxiety in a transitional era. Although Cowboy Bebop is praised today as one of the most stylistically influential anime ever produced, its initial broadcast history was far from smooth. The show's combination of jazz-infused melancholy, philosophical violence, criminal underworlds, substance abuse, violence, and existential despair created a tone that clashed sharply with the broadcast standards of late 1990s Japanese television. As a result, Cowboy Bebop faced partial bans, restricted scheduling, and episodes that were either heavily edited or completely withheld. What made Cowboy Bebop controversial wasn't just its content. It was the maturity of its worldview. The series treated violence not as spectacle, but as consequence. It portrayed broken families, trauma, addiction, and organized crime with a seriousness that television executives found unsuitable for general audiences. But even more importantly, events in the real world made certain episodes feel too sensitive to air. Why certain episodes were banned or restricted, you ask? There was no single reason for Cowboy Bebop's censorship. It was a combination of thematic concerns, violent imagery, social sensitivity, and unfortunate timing. Some episodes dealt with mass violence at a moment when Japan and the world was recovering from real tragedies. In the mid-1990s, the Tokyo subway siren attack by Shinrikyo left deep scars on the national psyche. Media companies became extremely cautious about airing anything that resembled domestic chaos, religious extremism, chemical attacks, or large-scale civilian harm. Episodes with these themes were postponed or removed during early broadcasts because executives feared they would appear insensitive or triggering to audiences still processing the trauma. While anime aimed at adult audiences could explore dark themes freely, Cowboy Bebop initially aired alongside more youth-oriented programming blocks. Another unusual aspect was the show's emotional heaviness. Rather than offering hopeful resolutions, Cowboy Bebop leaned into existential dread, loss, abandonment, and the futility of chasing a past that no longer exists. This wasn't typical for anime airing on public networks, and its bleak atmosphere made executives hesitant to present it to broad audiences without restrictions. The censorship took several forms. Episodes were removed entirely from the original Japanese broadcast. Some episodes aired out of order, breaking narrative flow. Late nighttime slots replaced its intended prime time programming. Violence and sensitive scenes were edited, trimmed, or reframed for TV release. Early Western broadcasts, including Cartoon Network's Toonami block, also edited or delayed certain episodes due to network standards. Only later, in reruns and home releases, did audiences finally experience the series as it was originally intended. Ironically, the censorship helped Cowboy Bebop build its identity as an anime too mature for mainstream television, cementing its status as a cult phenomenon. The restrictions became part of its mythos, a show that refused to water itself down, even if networks thought it too raw. But the deeper cultural meaning lies in how the bans expose the tension between artistic ambition and broadcast regulation. Cowboy Bebop treated animation as a medium capable of complex adult storytelling. Television networks, however, were still operating under outdated assumptions that animation should fit neatly within family-friendly frameworks. The censorship reveals how far ahead of its time the series really was. In the end, the banned and edited episodes of Cowboy Bebop remind us of the cultural shift. It helped create animation that could be poetic, philosophical, and morally complex and unafraid to explore darkness. And ironically, the very episodes that were once considered too sensitive are now essential to understanding why Cowboy Bebop became a global masterpiece. Electric Soldier Porygon and the night television stopped. When Pokémon first arrived in the United States in 1998, it was more than just a cartoon. It was a cultural shockwave. Kids traded cards in schoolyards, collected toys, and rushed home to watch Ash, Pikachu, and the rest of the gang take on the world of pocket monsters. Yet noticeably missing from the English broadcast lineup was episode 38 of the original Japanese run. Denna-senshi Porygon aired once in Japan on December 16, 1997, and never again. While the US never aired the episode, and thus never banned it in the legal sense, it was completely prohibited from international release, including America. Understanding why requires looking at both the event itself and the cultural environment of late 90s American media. During the episode's digital world sequence, a rapid series of red and blue strobing flashes triggered seizures, nausea, and headaches in hundreds of children across Japan. The event, known as the Pokémon shock, resulted in children hospitalized, national news coverage, a temporary halt of the entire Pokémon anime, though the strobe effect originated from Pikachu's attack and not Porygon. Porygon was permanently associated with the controversy. By the time Pokémon hit American airwaves in 1998, the episode already had a reputation as dangerous media. For US broadcasters and regulators, the seizure incident made the episode unairable regardless of edits. Even a toned-down version carried too much risk of legal liability, public health concerns, media backlash, reputational damage to a franchise. Thus, the episode was effectively blacklisted from all international releases, US included. To understand why the US reacted so strongly, we must look at the broader media environment of that time. Heightened sensitivity to children's television, the US in the 90s was firmly in a moral, decency era for kids programming. Children's TV was under scrutiny from the FCC, parent advocacy groups, school boards, news networks. Cartoons were expected to be safe, predictable, and non-threatening. Even mild controversy could lead to backlash. A foreign episode rumored to cause seizures. It was unthinkable. The news media's moral panic culture, American news outlets in the 90s thrived on sensational, kid-related danger stories, violent video games, harmful toys, cartoon, subliminal messages. The Pokémon seizure incident became an international headline overnight. Had the episode aired, or even been advertised, US networks knew it could trigger a media storm, turning Pokémon into a national hazard story. The US handling of Densenshi Porygon represents more than a broadcast decision. It reflects an entire era of American media culture. A time of strict oversight on children's entertainment, a global moral panic triggered by a single incident overseas, the cautious, protective approach US companies took with foreign content, the early shaping of anime fandom through scarcity and rumor. And though the episode remains unseen in the States, its influence lives on in cultural memory. For many fans, the Porygon episode is a nostalgic symbol of the unknown, a reminder of when anime was still foreign, mysterious, and sometimes a little dangerous. In the end, banned anime episodes aren't just missing pieces of our favorite shows. They're reflections of the times that shaped them. Each one carries a story behind the story, a clash of culture, creativity, and the shifting standards of what audiences were ready to see. Whether it was a safety concern, a cultural misunderstanding, or a moment when an anime simply pushed too far, these episodes remind us how animation evolves alongside society itself. And maybe that's why they stay in our memories. They aren't just lost, they're symbols of how powerful and unpredictable anime can be. Thanks for watching.